Hey class, welcome to English 241, Early British Literature. My name's Louis Nenny and I'm going to be your instructor this semester, this fall. I'm looking real forward to it. I wanted to hop on here and give you first of all a visual of who I am and then maybe talk a little bit about the class as well as my expectations. But to start, I wanted to just give you guys an understanding of what we're getting into. This is early British literature. Like anything, it's not innately British to begin with, but now we call it British because it helped form what we now refer to as Britain or England, whatever you want to use, I guess. But the first thing is you'll want to understand that when we read the first bit of it, before fall break, a lot of this stuff's very difficult. Beowulf is tough. I read it these days, and I've read it 100 times, and every once in a while I look at something, I'm like, what the heck does that say? But obviously it's a Germanic thing, and it's so old that it's kind of a Viking tale, which is interesting. The Vikings came over and kind of crushed the monasteries and did a number on British history, because we don't always know what was there before because they were so they plundered basically and took everything and destroyed it, and for the most part nobody could read or write except for the people in the monastery. The monks did it all. And so now we look at Beowulf and we look at things of the like, and we have to understand how historical it truly is, because first of all, it is old, but it lived through there. I've always found the Vikings very interesting. I think that's, if you think about it, King Arthur's dad was a Viking essentially, and so Arthur was descendant of a Viking. So the Vikings do have a lot of roots in there, as well as a lot of those that were here initially. But we're looking at after the Roman fall. The Roman Empire started to fall, but they pulled out of England and out of Britain because they just didn't see it as somewhere they needed to be. And so that caused a big stir up until William the Conqueror came in and kind of unified and put everything in place. And so we start off in the Dark Ages, and in the Dark Ages it's dark. It's a hot mess. And so then people came later on, like Chaucer, and began to develop a language, into the English language. And that's really when things came together, because before that everything was Italian or French. That was where it was at. And so then, by later in the 20th century, England was a superpower. They're not today, but they were at one point. So I digress. So I also digest. But anyway, what I want to do now is look at the class itself to kind of help you. First of all, up here you'll see the textbooks, and what I want to do is say, first of all, you should get this. It's an Othello text. This has a lot of interesting stuff in it because they're going to write a literary analysis, and in a literary analysis you're going to need to have some information from people who analyzed it, who wrote about the play. And so this is a lot of help. Now, if you're buying it somewhere on Amazon and you're not actually buying all these things together, you can probably find, I think I may have attached a PDF of Othello, and you can just read that and then go online and find the things you need to do it. But it would be easier if you had that. So there are 3 books. The first one's Volume A, the beginning, right here. That's the American. Make sure you've got the British, like this, and then you've got the C and the A, because you'll need those books basically, so that you'll have all the readings and writings. As far as the class setup itself, you'll need to understand that everything functions through the weekly folders. I've got it organized that way, and so make sure when you go in and you look and you see week 1, that's only week 1. It's done after week 1, and that assignment's over. So you need to read Beowulf, and there's no late work. Once you've missed that in an online class, it's over, and you've now got an absence. So keep in mind, if you miss 2 weeks, you're basically in a hot spot, and you can't miss anything else. So we start off week 1, and you've got some intro and incidentals, and I need you guys to get all that finished. There's a navigational video that should help. Basically shows you everything and where you need to be. But the basic contents of this, the discussion boards are fairly heavily weighted, considering how much time and effort you put into it. When the course is over, you'll have probably written more than 3,000 words based on just from the discussion boards, so I weighted them accordingly. There's 3 tests, test 1, test 2, test 3. Each has 2 parts. One is multiple choice, which is generally publisher content. The second part is an essay, which is going to relate to what we've been doing in the discussion boards and other things. And then you'll also have the Othello essay, and those will be your grading pieces for the most part. So I wanted to let you all know about that. Other than that, like I said, if you couldn't tell how I geeked out at the beginning, I am passionate about this. It's very interesting. And what I wanted to let you know about the discussion boards is that I really do value what you put in there. But I decided a while back that I wasn't going to post in the discussion boards personally, because a lot of times that skews what's being put in there. When you guys think I'm there, a lot of times I get weird stuff. But I'm not going to comment on your things, even if you tell me that it was the stupidest story ever and you can't figure out why you had to read it. So be it. I want to know what you think, and hopefully you enjoy it. But if I get in there, someone might say, well, they did this or they did that. Why didn't you comment on me? Right? Let's keep it from being catty. But also, I don't want to skew which direction the discussion goes. If everyone thinks Beowulf's terrible and I get in there and defend it and say how it's great, that totally changes the direction of the discussion. And it gives me an interesting perspective, because in a seated class, I don't get that same kind of feedback. In a seated class, folks can kind of hide, and you guys can't, because you're graded on your discussions. And so I read those and I'm very interested. And so once you've accumulated your 3 discussions, right, you get the one in by Thursday, the replies in by Sunday. It gathers it for me, and I can comment on it specifically, or I can find a way to give you feedback through that. And so you will see me being present in the course individually, but I don't pop into discussion boards. The other thing is that I wanted to also just kind of introduce myself personally. Like I said, Louis Nenny, I'm your instructor. I'm here on campus. I've been teaching at JCC for 6 years. I've been in education for probably 16 years at this point. I'm probably a lifer, but what I will say is that I have a family. I'm a family guy. I've got my wife Erin. She's a singer. You can find her on YouTube if you're bored one day. If you get tired of my YouTube videos, hers are way better. But she also stays home with my children. I've got 3 boys. One is going to be a year old, August 26th, little Grayson. And I've got 2 other boys. They are twins who are almost 8 years old, starting 2nd grade. And I'm excited about what I will learn from you all this semester, so put that out there. But anyhow, so I hope that helps. You can always come visit me on campus. I'm in Smith. I've got office hours. Best way to get a hold of me, though, is email. I get back to email pretty quick. Make sure you understand the new system. You've got Outlook, so you can download Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and everything else you need. And my phone rarely takes proper messages, so don't bother with that. But you can get a hold of me either of those other 2 ways. Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it. Best of luck. Work on those texts. Get after Beowulf as soon as you can. And like I said, always come contact me and be in touch if there's anything you need. Don't be afraid to ask. Just make sure you label your class as English 241 so I know what you're talking about. All right, folks, have a good one. Enjoy the first week, and have a great semester.